Afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Adrienne Montgomery, and I'm joined by American Payment Solutions, Patty Benitez and Matt St. John over at Starship. We're going to be talking about today about how retailers and manufacturers, distributors, can reduce those shipping and credit card processing costs. So I'm very excited to be participating in this webinar with Patty and Matt. So we're just going to go through a couple introductions, and then we'll get right on with the webinar, with the demonstrations. There are a couple things on your webinar pane I'd like you to take note of. If you look at your name, there's a hand and there's a question mark button. If you click on that question mark button, a dialog box will open up, and you can key in your question, and at the end of this webinar, I will read off those questions for Patty and for Matt to answer. So we will definitely answer any and all. We love questions and as much collaboration as possible. And once again, to those of you who just joined, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. We know you're busy to join us. We've got American Payment Solutions and Starship, and we're going to be talking about reducing shipping and credit card processing costs, all integrated into your Sage 100 ERP. So it's a little bit about American Payment Solutions. They are the endorsed merchant solutions provider for many restaurants and hospitality companies, software companies throughout the United States and Canada. They have multiple ERP software integrations, not just with Sage, but with Acumatica, all kinds of different ERP developers out there. So lots of experience, and they are the leader. They're becoming the leader in credit card processing. So I'm very happy to have them on this webinar. And Starship's the market-leading shipping software for Sage. And they're going to be talking about how their integrated shipping solution will save time in the shipping process with your Sage 100 sales order processes and location of shipment, all the details of the shipment, size of package, and getting the right carrier to deliver that package most effectively and cost effectively, most importantly. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Matt to kick it off here. If I can get my screen to explode. There we go. There you are, Matt.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me share my screen here and go on to my other machine. Okay, so plan of attack today, I think we'll just start in a sales order inside of Sage. Also show some rate quoting features from sales order entry, and then I'll give it to Patty so she can show you the credit card aspect of it. And then what we'll end up doing is going into Starship, shipping that order, and then finishing up with Patty again in how you can complete the transaction. So with that being said, let me open up sales order entry here. Okay. So with Starship included is the ability to rate shop right from sales order entry. Okay. So as you can see, we had a little rate quote button down below, and I've just selected an order, a couple line items on here. And my ship via UPS ground. So I'm going to click the rate quote button, and what this is going to do is open up the rate quote screen. Okay, so from rate quoting, what my customer service reps, sales reps can do is, as you can see here, Starship, we map from the ship via, so it automatically selects the carrier service type. So based off that ship via on the order, it selected my carrier and my service type. So down below, I can rate or rate shop. If I click the rate button, what that is going to do is just show me all the options for UPS. If I click rate shop, that will actually show me all the options for all the carriers that I have modules with. So if I was using UPS, FedEx, USPS, even some LTL carriers like Conway, or I should say XBO or Avrit, I would be able to see delivery dates, list pricing, so that's the published rate. What Starship is doing is making the call directly to the carrier's web services to return this information. Okay, so list pricing's published. If this was an LTL carrier, it would be 0 because they do not offer published or list rates. Contract, that's my live negotiated rate with the carrier. All right, so no more doing price updates, no more worrying about pricing. Whatever, say UPS says my contract rate is, if they make a change tomorrow, Starship automatically picks that up. And this applied column, applied is plus or minus any freight rule. So inside Starship, you can set up freight rules. Maybe you want to add a $10 handling fee. Maybe you want to give certain customers discounts on freight. You can do that. With freight rules, they can be percentages, min-maxes, flat rates. It could be by box or by complete or total shipment. Freight rules can be all the way down to line item detail. So again, with maybe you have an oversized item, so I can do a freight rule that says, hey, anytime item 1, 2, 3 is on an order, automatically add $20 because it's an oversized item. But that way, when customer service is quoting freight, they can take into consideration, freight rules. Maybe you offer free shipping over X amount of dollars. They'd be able to see that. This packaging table, what this is, inside Starship, you can set up or have Starship automatically learn packaging scenarios. So if you had items that automatically go into the same boxes, or maybe your items ship, in the box that it's stored on the warehouse shelf, you can set up packaging scenarios. You can also create custom boxes, bags, bales, pallets inside Starship. So here on this order, I have 3 items. One item, there's a packaging scenario, so it's automatically packaging it into my custom large box. Nice thing with using custom packages inside Starship, it will automatically populate the dimension fields for your shipper. And I'll show you that when we get into actually shipping inside Starship. Weights, these are being pulled from Sage's item maintenance. All right. So if you have them set up, customer service will be able to see the weights. These other 2 items are just going, there's no packaging scenario, so they're just going into my default custom box. If I don't have weight set up, I can click on any of these fields. As you can see here, I can manually override. I can manually select any of the custom boxes I have set up inside Starship. Okay. So they can do packaging scenario if they'd like to get a more accurate quote. Also from here, we can do address validation. Starship, of course, will do this at time of shipment, but if you want to do it ahead of time, we can do it here. We validate zip+4. We do use UPS, FedEx's, USPS's web services to make sure the address is valid. And this will also correct the residential commercial flag as well. Okay? So we're going to help save on those address correction fees as well as the commercial flag correction fee. And then inside the rate quote, any changes I make, maybe I go with a different carrier or a different service in this case. Maybe the address comes back, it gets validated, it makes a change. Once I click apply, it will automatically update my sales order. Okay. So with that, I'm actually now just going to go over and give this over to Patty. I'm just going to make this a credit card. And Patty, I'll give you controls in 1 second here. Okay, Patty, you should be able to take control.
Thank you so much, Matt. And Adrian, thank you for a great introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating and joining us in today's webinar. We really do appreciate you taking the time to get to know us better. I'd like to begin with just talking a little bit about what Matt was showing on the screen. The beautiful part about Starship as well as American Payment Solutions is the fact that we integrate so closely within Sage 100. We take advantage of items that you've already set up within Sage 100, and we allow you to continue using them without noticing that you are actually outside of Sage at the moment and processing or finishing up on shipping and processing a credit card transaction. We also integrate with many other third-party products that are more crucial when it comes to taking control of your business. And I'd like to mention a few because I know that Starship integrates to these products as well as American Payment Solutions. I'll mention a few, as I said, If there are any products that you are particularly interested in working with, let us know, and most likely we already integrate with them, or we can work on getting the integration started for you. Website Pipeline is an integration for any e-commerce in Sync. We also integrate as far as warehouse management and scanning with ScanCo and ScanForce. So there are point of sale systems that we integrate with as well. Let us know which of these products are required for your business, and we'll be happy to speak with the development team at those companies and make sure the integration works for you as well. Just as you saw on the screen right now as Matt was presenting Starship, you can think about the fact that if you start the transaction from start to finish, whether the order is coming in from a website or you're typing in the order because you're receiving orders over the phone, you can see how seamless the integration with Starship is, in the sense that you're able to do that rate quote from the very beginning, eliminating the need to double enter any data, eliminating any room for human error, and you are, at the same time that you're getting this rate quote and getting the validation from Starship, you're taking advantage of other items within American Payment Solutions that I'll explain as I jump into the sales order. I do want to mention, before I jump into the sales order, a little bit of background regarding our company. We've been in the credit card processing industry for well over 2 decades. Our CEO and founder was one of the original owners of, or creators, I should say, of the Sage Payment Solutions processing aspect of Sage. And he has now been with the company for over 10 years. We do have thousands of clients nationwide, as well as in Canada, processing through American Payment Solutions. We are our own gateway and our own processor. And please make a note of this. There is no charge for the credit card processing module. We do not charge for installation, implementation, or training. And we also provide support at no charge 24/7, 365 days a year. I just want to make sure everybody is aware of this, because it's very important, and it's one of the #1 questions we receive at all times. And one more thing, okay? If you're not going to stay and watch the webinar, it's okay, but I do have to say this. There is a really nice promotion for those of you that are interested in Starship that I'm going to announce at the end of the webinar. I guarantee you're going to want to take advantage of it. If you're interested in Starship, you will be able to take advantage of a considerable discount in purchasing any type of module or enhancements or pieces from Starship that you might be requiring at the moment. So please stay in tune until the end of the webinar. You're going to want to hear about this promotion. Okay, so enough said. As I mentioned in the beginning, our integration is very seamless. We take advantage of everything that you've already set up within customer maintenance, inventory management. We take advantage of Starship's address validation. And here's where we take advantage. If anyone in the credit card processing industry is familiar with level 3 processing, you'll know why it is so crucial to have the address validation. For those that are not familiar with level 3 processing, I'll explain in a nutshell, but I'm happy to talk to you about it afterwards. It is very detailed. Visa and MasterCard offer to cut rates in half almost for everybody, or even more than half, for any business-to-business or business-to-government transaction within the process within the continent, with companies that are within the continental U.S. And that's where we find the largest savings. Now, Visa and MasterCard require 13 to 16 fields per transaction in order to qualify it for level 3 rates. What we do is we automate the level 3 process so that you, as an end user, do not have to worry about keying any of those fields in. We take advantage of the fact that Starship is validating some of those fields for us, so we can take them and provide them to Visa and MasterCard. You, on the other side, are only worried about getting the savings at the end of the month. You won't have to worry about typing any of those level 3 data fields to any transaction. So keep that in mind. If you're ever looking for a processor, any processor, make sure that they will allow for level 3 processing, and if so, that they will not require you, the user, to key in any fields manually. This should all be done automatically without you having to worry about it. We take most of those fields from Sage 100. Other fields, like I said, are taken from our third-party partners such as Starship. So Matt was kind enough to create a sales order for me. You can see that I have the credit card information default on the screen. This is coming directly from accounts receivable customer maintenance. For those of you that are new to Sage 100, in customer maintenance, you're allowed to save as many credit cards per customer as you need. Now, due to PCI compliance, we do not allow you to save the full credit card number or all of the credit card information. As you can see on the screen, we're allowing you to save only the last 4 digits. All of the other information is tokenized and saved in our vault, which is a secure vault. Also within Sage 100, you're allowed to create or key in an email address under the billing address for the card. This email address is used to auto-email this particular email anytime a transaction is processed. So you don't have to worry about remembering to send a receipt to your client. The other thing to point out is the transaction type. This is also a default that was set up within Sage, and you can choose either to default to a pre-post authorization or a deposit sale. Obviously, a pre-post authorization will only authorize the transaction, and I'd like to point out the fact that with American Payment Solutions, and I underline with American Payment Solutions, you're able to extend the length of time for a pre-authorization anywhere between 7 and 30 days. Yes, you heard that correct. I know that most processors will limit you to 7 days of existence in a pre-authorization. We will allow you to extend it anywhere between 7 and 30 days. This is something that is discussed during the initial pre-install stage, so our project manager is able to guide you and recommend the length of time that you would most likely benefit from when it comes to pre-authorization. Now you can see this is the standard Sage 100 screen. We've made no changes at all. We definitely did add this transaction type for you so that you can choose as a default. Now, coming from Starship, you can already have a rate quote available here in the freight amount. If you do not, you can add it manually. And if you're guesstimating by any chance, you can always make the change at the time that you capture the funds. I'm going to go back to my credit card, and I think I'm going to change the total amount due because my credit card does not have that many funds. So let me just get rid of some of these lines, and we will submit this transaction for pre-authorization. Sorry, Matt, I forgot to give you my sales order number, and I'm just going to cancel some of these out. I should have looked at that code. I apologize, everyone. So again, I mean, it's good to point out standard Sage functionality. Most of you probably do this every day. And all I'm going to do different is click on the submit card when it comes time to pre-authorize the transaction. So I made it to $47.25 because I think my limit in this case is $100. So I'm going to go ahead and click on submit card. And notice how you are remaining within Sage 100. And what's happening right now is that the APS window will come up, and it will show you the default credit card that you chose within Sage 100, as you can see here. It will also ask you for a validation code. We wrote a custom modification that will allow you to switch on or off the requirement for a validation code. So, for example, if you decided that you don't want to have to key in the validation code every time you get the same credit card from the same client, then you can bypass this field and continue to the submit button. Otherwise, the user will be required to type in the validation code, and then they will be allowed to click on the submit button. Notice how I'm referencing the sales order number from Sage, and I'm also having the default amount of the transaction populated in the appropriate fields. I'm going to go ahead and click on submit. And what's happening right now is the transaction is actually going through our gateway. It's verifying the information for the credit card I provided is correct and will let me know if it is not. It will also verify that the CVV code is a match. If it is not a match, it will notify me of that as well. Once I click OK, you'll see that within Sage 100, the message, the credit card transaction has been authorized, will now be available to you. And you'll also notice a new field called Transaction ID. I'm going to show you where this transaction ID will also appear, and this is a good opportunity to introduce the APS portal to you. I can't remember, were we going to use the Chrome, Matt?
Yes, Patty, it's in Chrome. There you go.
And let me see. Okay. Bear with me, everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and log into our portal here. So what you see on the screen is the APS portal. You can actually process transactions right from the portal if you needed to. So I've heard of situations where sometimes your Sage system is down for some reason. You don't have to worry. You can actually process the transaction from here. The only setback is you would have to later key in the transaction into Sage. It's a one-way street. We actually do take information from Sage and populate our portal, and I'll show you that in just a second. But if you do anything within the portal, you would then have to rekey it into Sage once again. One of the things that I hear from many Sage payment users is the fact that the flexibility within our portal is much more powerful than what they're accustomed to with the other processors, and I'll show you why. I mean, there's all sorts of, and I'll say it again, sorting criteria that's available to you. You can see it here. And then we make it almost impossible for you not to be able to find a transaction. And not to mention you have all of these fields, all of the fields here in reporting. Let me get out of it. And we also provide you with the transaction ID that you saw in the Sage sales order a few seconds ago. So right now, let me jump into the transaction that we just processed. Notice how I'm referencing sales order from Sage. It's letting you know it's pending capture. It will give you the last four digits of the credit card and the amount. If you click on this transaction ID, you'll be able to see additional details regarding this particular transaction. And let me see if I can click on it now. And remember now, so here are the additional details that we can offer you. And remember, we saw that same transaction ID here. So that transaction ID will follow our transaction throughout the entire process. When we invoice, you will continue to see this particular transaction ID. Matt, with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to you, and then I'll just jump back in when it's time to invoice.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Patty. All right, so now we've taken our order. We've easily captured the funds on the credit card. So let's now say someone's picked it and the item is ready to be shipped. So I'm just going to accept this sales order and open up Starship here. I'm going to be using Starship with our business object interface. So with Starship, we have two different interfaces that work with the Sage 100 product. We have a Starship link. If I was currently using shipping data entry inside of Sage, excuse me, I would need our Starship link where I could come in shipping data entry, select an order, and I'll just quickly grab one here. Determine what's being shipped if I want to do packaging, and then we add a quick ship button here, which I can click that. That would actually automatically make the ship column match the order column. Or I could go to the shipping tab after I determine what's being shipped here. Of course, I grab the big order. Oops, and one less lot. Let me just back order that one. And I'll back order the rest. So I'll go to the shipping tab. And you know what? We're just going to go back ordered. Yes. And on the shipping tab, we have a Starship button, which I would then click this, and what that's going to do is open up Starship and pass all the information into Starship. Most clients, a lot of new clients, will use this business object interface because they're already used to shipping outside of Sage. So if you're not using shipping data entry, you can still just use Starship. And I can do all my shipping right from within the Starship program. So as you can see here, we have a source document. Up top, I can pull by sales order number, customer numbers, or by invoice numbers. We have a lookup. I can manually type in the sales order number. If my pick sheets were barcoded, I can actually just use a regular wedge type scanner and scan that. With the lookup, we can apply filters to narrow the search result. One advantage of interface over using the Starship link is that I can do batch processing. So I can come in here, select a bunch of orders, and I can actually process selected. And then once I click OK on this screen here, what's going to happen is I'm just going to start getting all my shipping documents, shipping labels, if I'm doing packaging lists for all the orders I selected. Okay, so if you have the need to kind of do batch processing where you just want to get a bunch of orders out the door, really works well for items that are, one item to one box and orders that I'm shipping complete. Okay, so it is an option. I'm just going to type in that order number 198 that we just did the sales order. Okay. So type that in. Again, Starship's automatically grab the order header as well as line item detail. Okay, map from the ship via is the carrier service billing type, automatically selected for my shipper, so they don't have to worry about making that selection. Of course, if they want to, they can manually make changes. Maybe they want to go Saver, maybe they want to use a different carrier. Just because it's automatically selected, it's not written in stone. Sender, of course, that's the company that I've opened inside of Sage, and recipients coming from the ship to on the order. Really call your attention down to the packaging view. So this is where the line item box detail would be. Again, this item had a packaging scenario, so it automatically put the one item into my large box. If this item had multiple, or this order had multiple line items, and I needed to, I could simply add boxes over here. Okay, we have a repeat box function. Maybe I pull an order and I know it needs to go into 10 different boxes. I could use this and say repeat the current package 9 times for a total of 10 boxes. And then if my shipper wanted to do item to box detail, it's not required to do that, but if they did want to put an item in each box, they can simply just drag and drop. If this, again, had more line items, we could hold down the Shift key and do multiple item selection. All right? So very simple way using the packaging view to do item to box detail, add boxes, and then I can also, if I click on the box detail here, this is that database where I can store custom boxes. Again, automatically going to populate the dimension fields. If you're using a scale, Starship can be set up to automatically pull in the weights. If you don't have a scale and you have all your weights set up inside of Sage, or even you can set them up inside of Starship. Now, what Starship will start doing is storing all your inventory items, as well as descriptions, unit values, weights. So my system, I don't have a scale, so it's just automatically calculating the total package weight based off the item weights, and I also have a tier weight included on that large box. Okay. Also here, units on shipments. I can back order items. So if I were to back order an item inside of Starship, Starship will back order the sales order. And with this BOI interface, as you're going to see, Starship will also automatically create an invoice inside of Sage for the front office. So anything back ordered will also be back ordered on the invoice. All right. Also in the line detail, this is an international shipment. So with Starship, we can help automate your international shipments. As you can see here, international data. I'm going to click on the little blue icon. Okay. We have our own database where you can store all the required information. As you can see, country and manufacturer. If you're doing EEI, classification, certificate of origins. Schedule B or harmonized code, not a standard field inside. So we actually have our own spot you can store, and your shippers can even look up Schedule B or harmonized codes. So I can look by code, by description. Okay, so all that can be stored inside of Starship. Nice thing with Starship, and again, I said it's going to remember your inventory items. So if I pull an order, maybe there's a line item missing a harmonized code, it's going to alert my shipper, say, item 123 needs a harmonized code. They can come in, select the code, and then as soon as they ship and process, it's going to save it for next time. Okay. We also have a shipping assistant wizard. Some clients use this. Their shippers find it easier to use the shipping assistant wizard. If they do, we can set this up to automatically, this screen will pop up instead of going to the packaging view. Another advantage of the business object interface is I can consolidate multiple orders into one shipment. Okay, so if I had orders going to the same ship to or same company, I would be able to see related orders listed here, and then I can simply select them and bring them up top here under orders to ship, or I can also manually add orders. Okay. And what this is going to do, take all the orders I select, it's going to consolidate multiple orders, again, into just one shipment, helping save time, save money. If I consolidate multiple orders, Starship, when it creates the invoice, will still create separate invoices. All right. So first screen, I can consolidate orders, and it's also my order header, line item detail. I can then click next, so I can do units on shipment, so I can back order items. I can click next one more time. We already packaged this, but I can then do item to box detail from this screen. And down below, I can add, remove boxes. Same thing, simply drag and drop. Okay. If this was an LTL shipment, Starship does both parcel and LTL. I could click next one more time, and then I can actually do what this would be items, and then it would be, instead of items to pack, it would be your boxes, and then down below is where you can add, remove pallets. So you can actually build your pallets. So I'm just going to click finish, and it'll bring me back to the packaging view. If I need my shippers to, they can also rate shop from Starship. Again, maybe they want to go out, select the best carrier. With Starship, you can also set up carrier selection, so it automatically selects the carrier based off your rules. So, you know, this my test account, I really just have a UPS account set up. But again, if I had UPS, FedEx, USPS, I could set up a rule that says, hey, automatically select the carrier that's going to be the least expensive, or maybe the least expensive and going to get the package there in the least amount of delivery days. Okay, and then Starship's going to go through this database automatically and make that selection for my shipper. So technically, you can have a ship via just called Best Way and let Starship, you know, select it based off your rules. So I can make a change here, and when I'm ready to ship, my shipper can click the ship and process or the F5, which is a shortcut key, or we can save orders and not process them. So maybe I have an order, you know, line item's back ordered, but I know it's going to be in by the time the UPS guy comes. I can save that order and then come back to it later. But when I'm ready to, I'm just going to click ship and process. As soon as I click ship and process, my shipper is going to get all my shipping documents that will print out for them. I just preview them for the sake of the demo. So here is our first document. This is what we call our smart label. Smart label is the shipping label and packaging list that prints together on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So it would go to a laser printer. It's just an option. Again, I use it for the demo so you can see a packing list and a shipping label. Most certainly you can send your shipping labels to a thermal printer. And with Starship, you have the choice with the packaging list. Those can go to a thermal label printer as well, or you can send them to a laser printer. Because this was international, I have my commercial invoice. Okay, so Starship's automatically going to create and print my shipping documents. So commercial invoices, NAFTA forms. If this was a LTL shipment, it would do the bill lading for me. Okay, order header, line item detail, automatically going to be populated on the forms. With Starship, you can customize the forms. You know, maybe you want the signature line already to be filled out, the date field. All the forms can be customized. You can also set up printing rules for each of the forms. So, you know, maybe you need a customer that needs a commercial invoice or this NAFTA form to look a certain way. You can create a template for that customer and then assign a printing rule so that template will only print when the order is for that customer. Okay, so here's our NAFTA form, and you can see we can add a logo. And then again, down below, I have clients that do this kind of save more time. Name, date, title, company, signature line, already populating on the forms for them. So really they print these out, they're ready to go. I'm going to get my two documents. Now for my shipper, they're ready to just go on and ship their next order. So it's kind of that rinse repeat cycle. Bring in my sales order, item box detail, maybe do some rate shopping, but when I'm ready, ship and process, get my shipping documents, and pull my next order. And then before I jump into the invoice, I'm just going to kind of quickly show two other features that are included with Starship. The first one is our e-notification program. So with e-notify, I'm just going to refresh this and just log back in here. E-notify, you can create your own custom templates to be sent either at time of shipment. You can delay them by a certain number of hours and or minutes. You can send them all at the end of the day or one big batch, or you can come in this email viewer here, that screen I'm in right now, and I can manually select, and as you can see, I can forward, delete, send right from this screen. But again, e-notify, I can create my own custom template. Very easy to create. I can include Sage fields such as PO numbers, sales order numbers, but I can create a quick template, let my customer know, carrier, where it's going. I can give them the item to package breakdown, quantity ordered, quantity shipped. Tracking numbers are hyperlinked, so this can help reduce those inbound calls of customers just calling in asking, where their shipment is. Package breakdown, again, this estimated delivery date, that is coming from the carrier, so it is accurate. With these email templates, you can create as many templates as you like, and then you can also assign sending rules to each template. So here I have a coupon code for 20% off. You can hyperlink coupon codes. I have clients that do survey forms, but maybe I only want this template to go to certain customers. I can create the template and then assign a sending rule that says, hey, only send it to maybe my platinum or gold customers. Okay. That's the e-notification. Again, that's included with Starship. And then we also have our dashboard. So on dashboard here, whoops, come on. Let's minimize this a little bit. And if I can get it, come on. So with dashboard, a nice thing with dashboard, e-notifying, and rate shopping does not require any additional seats or licenses. Okay? Starship, you just really need a seat or license for whoever's going to be in shipping at the same time. Okay? And I just have some performance indicators up here, but what dashboard's going to do is going to give my front office management access to shipment history, reports. Again, we have these performance indicators. I can see shipment by users. Starship, you can have all your shippers have their own login. You can also assign and create different security roles for each user. Charter top 5 customer, shipment by carrier. Maybe I want to negotiate better rates. I can have quick access to information. Kind of shows UPS, hey, look, I'm doing all my shipments really through you guys. The nice thing with these widgets, I can drill down even further. If I wanted to see all the shipments that were shipped in 2014 here, as I clicked on, I could be able to see that. Maybe the Charter top 5 customers here. I want to see the 20 shipments that make up ABF. I can click on the bar graph. I can see those. I can drill even further down and actually get the record detail. If you had to, you can track from dashboard. And this is actually the screen that you will see. So you would have access to shipping date, estimated delivery date, status, all this information, line items. If this is multiple packages, you can see what was in each box. All right. And some of the canned reports I'll quickly mention here. We have a late delivery report. What that report will do, it goes out and it compares the guaranteed delivery date to the actual delivery date. So it's going to let you know of any shipment that wasn't delivered on time. So you can contact the carrier, try to get a refund. We also have a couple charge comparison reports. So here, applied versus contract. This one the clients will run daily. And what this will do is my applied, so that's what I charge the customer for my shipment. It's going to compare it to my contract, so what the carrier is going to charge me. And then in the third column, it's a plus or minus. So it's a report you can run. Make sure you're breaking even on your shipment. Definitely going to let you know the ones you lost money on. And in the report, we have the sales order number, so you can go back into Sage and take a look. Maybe you lost money. You can kind of find out what happened. Maybe you got a bad discount code set up. All right. So again, those are add-ons that come and are included with Starship. And now I'm just going to go into Sage. I'm going to go into invoice data entry here. So for my shipper, they're going to ship and process, and as soon as they do that, I'm going to go to my last invoice. Okay. This was the invoice that was created by Starship inside of shipping, inside of Sage. Sorry. Okay, and get my message here. But on that invoice, we're writing back tracking information. Okay. This is going into Sage's tracking tables. Starship pulls, passes data from their actual tables, so tracking tables. So that's what makes us fully integrated with Sage. All right, so I could track from here. I can also use the item to box detail button. And of course, on the totals tab, I can write back freight amounts. Again, those are include applied. So if I did have a freight rule set up, maybe I added a handling fee, that would come over as well. And also with freight amounts, you can set up write back rules. So maybe in some cases you do not want freight to be, changed. Maybe the order came from a website, freight's already been charged. So you can simply create a rule that says, hey, if it's a web order, do not override the freight amount. Okay. And then with that, I will actually give it back to Patty to finish the whole cycle.
Thank you, Matt. This was very informative. And by the way, if you do create the rule that stipulates you're not able to change the freight amount anymore, we, as credit card processors, will definitely follow that rule. As you can see, very seamless integration. And I know 1 hour is not enough time to show you all of the areas in which you'll be able to save not only time, but money as well. So what I'd like to just mention is the fact that with credit card processing, you can actually process credit cards in 3 different areas, really 4. Sales order entry, I showed the pre-authorization. You can also process a transaction within sales order invoice data entry. Also in accounts receivable cash receipts, you can accept payments for customers who are on terms, for example. If they want to pay last month's statement, they can give you their credit card and you can apply it to all the different invoices. And then, because of Starship, we also allow you to process transactions or complete credit card transactions within shipping data entry. So you can see the transaction. This is sales order invoice data entry. The transaction has been authorized. I'm not going to do anything out of the ordinary here. All I'm going to do is complete my Sage 100 end of day update. And while this is happening, let me just tell you a little bit more about, oh, do I have the facts in here? About what exactly is required or what other benefits you would be able to take advantage of with American Payment Solutions. One of them is the batch funding time. We actually offer 12-hour funding versus the typical 24-hour funding from other processors, which means if you batch out by 9 p.m. Eastern time, you will have the funds available in the bank the next morning before 9 a.m. We also offer a migration utility for anyone that's currently processing with Sage Payments or PC Charge. That way you don't have to key in all of your credit card information again. We actually take it and we move it over to our vault. We guarantee our rates in writing. One of the biggest complaints I hear from every other processor or people that are using other processors is the fact that they get the best rate with the initial contract, and then the rates all of a sudden start creeping up on them 3 months down the line. That's something that we guarantee will not happen if you switch to American Payment Solutions. And again, we guarantee this in writing. We also provide equipment. We typically provide it at no charge. Your sales rep will have to evaluate your statement and let you know if you qualify for that. And then we love to pay for cancellation fees. So if you are processing with Sage Payment Solutions, we will definitely pay for 100% of your cancellation fees. If it's any other processor, we have to evaluate your statement. As far as your merchant statements, and if you are interested in learning more about obtaining a free analysis of your current rates and fees, all we need from you is 3 months of your most current merchant statements. With that, we will be able to provide you not only with a really good credit card processing 101, where we show you exactly who's making the money where, and yes, that includes your processor. We will also show you a proposal and how much money you could be saving if you switch to American Payment Solutions. Now, the update is just finalizing right now, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this process where we update at the end of the day. Right now, General Ledger is being posted, as well as any other modules that you're integrated with. We're just writing back to those modules. It's also updating our partner portal to reflect the fact that the transaction has been captured and is no longer just a pre-authorization. Thanks, Matt, for helping me. By the way, everybody, Matt's been the one clicking away here.
Apologize. She's on my machine and it's very slow, so we'll get through it.
Yeah, it was good because it gave me enough time to talk about everything that I needed to mention to everyone, especially when it has to do with the funding time. I know it's crucial for many companies and the guaranteed rate. I'm going to jump back into our portal. I think that the portal has been updated by now. And just show you now what this transaction will look like once the transaction has been captured. And also point out how the transaction ID continues to show both within the portal as well as in Sage 100. So now bringing up the portal, I'm just going to jump right into the report. And bear with me, everyone, I'm almost there. By the way, when it comes to batching, we can set up the batch report to automatically print out for you every night. And we can also assign as many email addresses as you need that should receive the report at the end of the day. So you don't have to worry about manually having to go in and batch out anymore. So notice how the transaction will now show that it's been approved. We're also now showing the Sage 100 invoice number. We're referencing the invoice number versus the sales order number. And notice how the shipping fee now has been added to my total. So originally we captured only $47.25, but then the Starship shipping fee that was added automatically is now also part of your final transaction. And the transaction ID, once again, will just show you additional details regarding this particular transaction. If I could click on it, there it is. And now if we go back to Sage 100, let me just go back to customer maintenance and show you at the end of the day exactly where this transaction ended up. Again, I mean, it's nice to point all of this out. I probably should finish that update, but it's nice to point out how we were able to go from start to finish, not having to log out or work outside of Sage 100 at all, not on the shipping side and not on the credit card processing side. And remember, there are so many other products that we integrate with. It's all a matter of just checking in with us, and we will let you know if there's point of sale systems that you need, if there's scanning solutions, warehousing solutions. I know there's multi-bin products that we integrate with. Hey, Matt, I forgot what the transaction number was.
I think actually, I think where it was a different customer.
So there you could tell which one of us is the amateur at this.
No, I could be wrong. No, maybe you were right.
Oh, that's fine. The point is, I think it's that 252.88. Maybe. I don't remember. The point is, it will show up in accounts receivable or an invoice inquiry. You will be able to drill down into the transaction, and in the transaction ID that comes from our portal, I'm feeling it was one of these. And if it wasn't, I mean, the point is getting across anyway. The important thing is that you know the transaction is there, and you don't have to worry about going outside of Sage 100 in order to find the transaction or the transaction ID. With that, I am pretty much finished with what we wanted to present. I don't know, Matt, did you want to finish up, or Adrian, did you have anything else?
I'm actually good. Alongside of that, as Patty was mentioning, back in, as you can see here, through customer maintenance and AR invoice history. Just one last thing is that because we actually pass that information into Sage's actual tables, I could actually, all that information, my tracking information, package breakdown is still going to flow through into history. So that's all I have. I think give it back to Adrian for maybe questions.
Hey, Adrian,
Yes, thank you.
while you're preparing those questions, or tell me if I should wait, I'd like to mention the Summit promo, the Sage Summit promo.
Sure, go ahead and talk about the Sage Summit promo.
Excellent. So thank you, Adrian. Everyone, take note because this promotion will end on September 30th, and it is exclusive to attendees of this webinar specifically. American Payment Solutions will pay up to 100%, and I'm going to repeat that, up to 100% of your Starship purchase if you contact us before September 30th and provide us with the opportunity to evaluate your merchant statements and switch over to American Payment Solutions. Now, we guarantee to beat or match anybody's rates, any processor's rates. If we are not able to beat or match, we will pay you $500. So please make note of this. September 30th is the deadline. All we need from you are your 3 most recent merchant statements. Once we evaluate the statements, we will let you know exactly how much we will pay for you to purchase your Starship enhancement, module, piece, whatever it is that you need from Starship, services included, and we will notify you in writing if it's 100% based on your volume or if it's any less than 100%. Regardless, it's a huge savings, and we look forward to hearing from you in regards to evaluating your existing merchant statement. Thanks, Adrian.
You're welcome. That sounds like a great promotion. Thank you for that, Patty. We do have several questions here. Matt, did you have anything to add at this time?
No, I think I'm good. I think we're ready for Q&A.
Perfect. And I do have a poll I wanted to launch while we were announcing the questions here. Are you currently using Starship shipping software and or APS Merchant's credit card processing? We did invite quite a few folks to this webinar that were either customers or existing Starship or ShipGear customers. So if we could just get the audience to answer this question, that would be extremely helpful. Thank you so much. It'll give us an idea of the representation of the audience out there. And let's see here. Arian, thank you so much. We have a question from Arian. We ship items of odd sizes. What would you recommend as a shipping rule? Separate packages or customizing a box?
Oh, good question. So now if it's odd sizes and the box is always going to change, you would probably not want to use the custom boxes because again, those are going to be set up and they work well if I have standard box sizes. But with odd size items, I have a lot of clients that do that, and what they'll do is, maybe their items go in a box and then they'll actually cut the box down. So what their shipper will do then is just manually add the dimensions. Actually, I closed Starship here, but I can open it back up. Now, if it was a big concern, I did forget to mention regarding scales, we do also integrate with a CubaScan scale, and it's their 100 line. And what a CubaScan scale will do is actually automatically grab the weight, but also your box dimensions and return that into Starship. Okay, so it's a full plug-and-play integration. Again, it's called the CubaScan. Their 100 series of scales. But again, if you're really custom making your boxes for your items, I would just have your shipper manually type in the dimensions type. Or if they are custom boxes that you have set sizes, you can most certainly just set them up in here. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question.
And Matt, were you just showing your screen? Because I still have the poll
okay.
up.
That's okay. No problem. I was just showing the packaging.
I can switch it back to you.
Oh, no, it's okay. I forgot you were doing the poll. Don't worry about it.
Multitasking on a
exactly.
Does Starship validate addresses and verify UPS, FedEx account numbers when receivers are third-party account? Thank you, Arian.
It will validate address, but the account number it will not validate. It will let your shipper know if it's incomplete account number, but it will not do, tell them, no, that's not the correct assigned account number for that customer. With Starship, and we didn't get into third-party shipping, and we can most certainly schedule a demo, after this, and I can show you how we can automate your whole third-party processing of orders, where your shipper doesn't even have to type in the customer's third-party account number. That can be pulled from a user-defined field or a custom field inside of Sage if you have one set up. Or inside Starship, you can also store and set up your customer's third-party information, so their account name, their address, as well as if they had a UPS, a FedEx, even LTL carrier accounts. And again, that whole process can be automated, and I'd be more than happy to show you how we can handle that as well.
And we have a question from Rose. Thank you for your question, Rose. We had a situation. The authorization amount was lower than at the end of the day freight charges added to higher amount. Customer complained that they were not willing to pay for the extra charges for the freight. Now we add extra amount to ensure from occurring, to ensure this does not occur, I think is what you had indicated here, Rose. Matt, did you want to elaborate on that?
Okay, so it sounds like, with a freight rule, you maybe added kind of either, I'm not sure if you did a percentage or just a flat rate, but you can run into that situation where at time of order, maybe they didn't quote the freight correctly, and that's why that rate shopping is a nice feature, because it kind of gives you a good, accurate quote. But yeah, I've heard some clients where sales order, they take the order and freight's $10, and then they capture those funds, and then when it's at time of shipment, it's actually, maybe the freight's $100. So it sounds like there was a freight rule set up, and you can, or if not, you can definitely set up a freight rule to add, additional fees. I don't know if Patty wants to go any further on that with pre-authorizing and then authorizing greater amounts.
And Patty, are you still with us?
Yeah, I just needed to jump off in a couple of minutes. I apologize.
I know you have back-to-back presentations, so did you have anything to add on that?
I would actually love to answer that question if you wouldn't mind sharing the person who requested or asked the question. I can get back to them after the presentation.
Perfect. The question will be aligned to their name on the registration report, so we would appreciate you getting back personally with Rose. Thank you, Patty. We understand that you have to go. This last question is for how do you make a return label? Are they created or linked to the original invoice or a RGA credit memo? Thank you, Arian. I think that one's for you, Matt.
Yeah. So you can, at time of order, when you ship, create a return label. And one thing with the USPS module that we have, in the past they used to charge you for every time you created a return label. Now you will only be charged if the customer uses that. So if you were shipping USPS, you could actually include a return label in every order and not be charged. Again, you'd only be charged for if the customer actually returned it, used that label. In Starship, you have options. If it's a UPS, you can even just have them, UPS, create and electronically email a return label. So they can be done, returns can be done at time of order, again, if you want to include a return label in the package. Or, down the road, the customer calls back and says, I want to return this. Through Starship, you can kind of process that order and create a return label, or have, in my example, have UPS actually deliver the return label to the customer. And again, we can, I can definitely reach out and kind of set up a private one-on-one demo so we can review all these shipping scenarios and features of Starship.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. And I just wanted to end with it. It looks like we're right on time. We really appreciate the presentation from both you and Patty. Thank you. And thank you, audience, for spending this hour with us. We really appreciate your time as well. Looks like 64% of you are currently using Starship, 9% are currently using ShipGear, 9% are currently using APS, and 27% of you are new and looking at both solutions. So we really appreciate again. And everybody have a fantastic week. Enjoy your 4th of July. And Matt, would you like to provide any closing remarks?
Oh, no, just I thank everyone for taking time out of their day for the demo, and we really do appreciate it. And as Adrian just mentioned, enjoy your holiday, and if you have any questions, feel free to let us know.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.